Have you ever watched someone fall apart and instead of reaching out, you tried to fix them with advice? We've all done it. We've all meant well. But in the middle of someone's storm, your wisdom can sound like thunder. This message is about compassion. Because when someone is drowning, that's not the moment to hand them a swimming manual. It's the moment to pull them out of the water. Number 1, timing matters more than intention. There's a powerful truth that most people miss. Good intentions don't always create good outcomes. You can have the kindest heart, the purest motives, and the best advice. But if your timing is wrong, your words can wound instead of heal. Timing shapes everything. It determines whether your message lands softly or shatters someone already struggling to stand. In moments of pain, a person doesn't need to be told why they fell. They need someone who understands how much it hurts. When you rush to correct instead of comfort, your intention might be love, but your timing can make it feel like judgment. The heart cannot absorb wisdom while it's still bleeding. Imagine someone drowning. You can shout instructions about how to move their arms, how to float, how to breathe, but none of that will matter. They don't need a teacher, they need a savior. The same applies to life's emotional struggles. When someone is overwhelmed, anxious, or broken, they can't process logic or lessons. Their mind is fighting just to stay above the surface. That's not the time to hand out advice. That's the time to hold out your hand. The right thing said at the wrong time can feel like a slap, but the right silence given in the right moment can feel like love. Timing is a language of empathy. It's the art of sensing what someone truly needs in that moment, not what you think they should hear. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is wait. Wait until the storm passes. Wait until the tears stop falling. Wait until their heart is ready to listen. Not just hear. That waiting isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It shows emotional maturity, the ability to prioritize another person's healing over your need to be right or helpful. Too many relationships break not because love wasn't there, but because timing wasn't honored. Advice was given when comfort was needed. Correction was offered when compassion was missing. Words were rushed when silence could have healed. When you master timing, your words begin to carry weight. They stop being noise and start becoming nourishment. True understanding means recognizing that the moment you choose to speak can define whether your message becomes medicine or a memory of pain. Number 2, empathy before education. Before you try to teach someone a lesson, ask yourself, are they ready to hear it, or are they still trying to survive what they just went through? Because before education comes empathy. Before you try to open someone's mind, you must first open your heart. When a person is hurting, they don't need a lecture. They need a listener. They don't need someone to explain life's logic. They need someone to understand their emotion. You can't pour wisdom into a heart that's cracked open by pain. It will simply spill out, unnoticed, unheard. People can only learn when they feel safe enough to stop defending themselves. And that safety doesn't come from clever words. It comes from compassion. Empathy is what bridges the distance between two souls. It says, I see you. I feel what you feel. I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to stand beside you. That kind of presence can heal more deeply than any explanation ever could. When someone is drowning in grief, guilt, or confusion, what they truly crave is not knowledge. It's kindness. Once they feel seen, once they feel valued, their heart naturally opens to receive understanding. But if you try to educate too soon, your message will sound cold, detached, and even arrogant. It will sound like you're speaking from a distance, not standing beside them, and people can feel that difference. There's a softness and empathy that education alone can never offer. Empathy doesn't demand, it doesn't rush, it doesn't judge. It simply listens and allows space for pain to breathe. That space is where healing begins, and only after healing begins can growth truly happen. Without empathy, your advice becomes noise, even if it's true. But with empathy, even silence becomes a form of teaching, because your presence itself says, you're not alone, you're worth understanding. Too often we confuse helping someone with fixing them. We throw words at wounds that don't need logic, they need love. When someone trusts you enough to show you their pain, that's not your cue to analyze it, it's your invitation to honor it. Empathy says, let me meet you where you are. Education says, here's where you should be. The difference between the two isn't intelligence, it's humanity. Number 3, presence over preaching. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer someone isn't your words, it's your presence. In a world that's obsessed with talking, teaching, and advising, we've forgotten the quiet strength of simply being there. When someone is in pain, they don't always need a sermon. They need a sense of safety. They need to feel that someone cares enough to sit beside them in silence, because silence can be sacred when it's filled with understanding. It tells the other person, you're not alone in this. And that message, unspoken but deeply felt, often does more healing than 100 well-meaning speeches ever could. Presence is a form of love that doesn't need explanation. It's the steady heartbeat in a moment of chaos, the calm energy that reminds another person they can breathe again. Too many people try to say the right thing when someone is hurting, but words can easily fall short or even make things worse. Preaching tends to focus on what should be done. Presence focuses on what is being felt. And when a person feels seen rather than lectured, they begin to open up, to trust, to let go of their armor. You don't have to fix their problem. You just have to hold the space where they can start to feel human again. When you choose presence over preaching, you choose humility. You're admitting that your words may not be what this moment requires. You're recognizing that comfort doesn't always come from logic. It comes from love. Real presence asks nothing in return. It doesn't try to prove a point or win an argument. It's the gift of quiet companionship, where your energy says what your mouth doesn't need to. In those moments, your stillness becomes strength, and your empathy becomes the anchor that helps someone else stay afloat. There's a deep wisdom in knowing that your presence alone can be enough. We live in a culture that equates helping with talking, but sometimes the most meaningful help is found in stillness, in holding a hand, offering a shoulder, or just staying close while someone's world feels like it's falling apart. Presence teaches without teaching. It heals without words. It reminds others that they matter, not because of what they do or understand, but because they are worth staying beside, even in silence. Number 4, people heal in safety, not in judgment. Healing never happens in places where people feel watched, criticized, or corrected. It happens in spaces where they feel accepted exactly as they are, broken, confused, uncertain, and human. When someone is hurting, judgment only deepens the wound. It makes them withdraw, hide, and build walls around their heart. But safety, emotional safety, has the power to open those walls and let the light back in. People don't begin to heal when they're told what's wrong with them. They begin to heal when they finally feel it's okay to be honest about their pain. Safety gives permission for vulnerability. Judgment shuts it down. We often underestimate how much courage it takes for someone to admit they're struggling. And yet, too often, instead of honoring that courage, we respond with criticism or comparison. We start analyzing, fixing, or moralizing their pain. But the moment you do that, you teach them that their emotions aren't safe with you. Healing stops where fear begins. If people are afraid to be real, to cry, to fall apart, they won't heal, they'll just learn to hide. And what's hidden can't be healed. Safety is the soil in which every recovery, every growth, every breakthrough begins. Creating safety means offering a kind of presence that says, you don't have to earn my compassion. It means listening without trying to label. It means understanding that what looks like weakness might actually be someone's quiet attempt at surviving. People don't need to be reminded of their mistakes. They already carry those lessons inside. What they need is someone who sees beyond the mistake, someone who sees their humanity. When you choose understanding over judgment, you give someone the freedom to breathe again. You remind them that they're not defined by their lowest moment. Safety is love in its purest form. It doesn't demand perfection, it invites truth. It's the atmosphere where healing naturally unfolds because the soul finally feels it's not being tested. It's being trusted. When people feel safe, they start telling the truth, not just to you, but to themselves. They stop running from their pain and begin to face it, knowing they're not alone in it. That's when real healing begins, not through judgment, but through gentleness, grace, and understanding. Number 5, help first, guide later. When someone is in crisis, the first thing they need is not direction, it's rescue. Before you try to guide someone toward the lesson, you must help them survive the moment. It's human nature to want to fix things quickly, to rush toward solutions, to show others what they should be doing differently. But when a person is drowning in confusion or pain, they're not ready to be guided. They're desperate to be held. Help first. Stabilize the storm before you start giving them a map. When a person is emotionally collapsing, the kindest thing you can do is help them breathe again. Only once they're steady can they begin to walk. Guidance without support is like giving directions to someone who can't even stand. It only deepens the exhaustion. There's a sacred order to healing. Compassion comes before correction. The person who's hurting isn't always looking for the truth right away. They're looking for safety. You can't teach someone who's still bleeding from their pain. Your job isn't to make them understand. It's to help them feel understood. People can't absorb wisdom until they feel secure enough to receive it. That's why timing matters so deeply. You don't plant seeds during a storm. You wait until the ground is calm, then you begin to nurture. In life, the same rule applies. When you see someone breaking down, don't rush to show them the bigger picture. Sit with them in the small, messy moment until they're ready to see it themselves. Helping first doesn't mean ignoring truth. It means delivering it with empathy. It's knowing that the foundation of every transformation is compassion. Once a person feels supported, they start to open up. Their walls soften. Their heart becomes teachable. That's when your words can truly land. That's when guidance becomes growth, not pressure. Real guidance flows from connection, not correction. It meets people where they are and gently walks beside them toward where they could be. When you help first, you build trust. And trust is the soil where lessons take root. People don't follow advice because it sounds smart. They follow it because it comes from someone who cared enough to lift them when they couldn't lift themselves. Helping isn't a step before guiding. It's the bridge that makes guiding possible. Number 6, wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. There's a certain power that comes with restraint. The quiet strength of choosing silence when every part of you wants to speak. Wisdom isn't just about knowing the right words. It's about sensing the right moment. It's the ability to read the energy in the room, to feel the weight of someone's pain, and to understand that sometimes your words might do more harm than good. There are moments in life when silence becomes the loudest form of understanding, when your presence says what your voice never could. Speaking at the wrong time can close hearts. Silence, when chosen with care, can open them. So many people believe that to help, they must say something, offer advice, share their opinion, or give perspective. But wisdom knows that truth delivered too soon becomes a burden, not a blessing. People in pain don't always need words, they need warmth. They don't always need to be told what to do. They need to feel that someone is there with them, without judgment, without interruption. Silence can be sacred when it's filled with empathy. It creates space for emotions to settle, for wounds to breathe, for clarity to quietly rise from within. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing, and simply listen until the person finds their own words again. Speaking wisely means being deeply connected to timing. There's a time to comfort, a time to challenge, and a time to simply stay still. Real wisdom doesn't rush to be heard. It waits to be needed. It understands that not every thought deserves to be spoken, not every truth must be delivered, and not every moment calls for sound. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It often means you care enough not to make things worse. It means you trust that understanding will grow naturally once the storm of emotion has passed. When you learn to balance your words with silence, you become a safe space for others. People start to feel peace in your presence, not pressure. Your calm becomes contagious. Your restraint becomes respect. And your silence, rather than being empty, becomes a vessel of healing. A gentle reminder that sometimes the wisest thing to do is to say nothing at all. Remember, not every moment needs your words. Some moments just need your heart. Be the hand that helps, not the voice that judges. Real wisdom isn't in speaking more, it's in caring deeper. Sometimes the greatest way to heal someone is simply to be there, quietly, with love.